Hey, how's it going? Another random review here. Yeah, this one's gonna be rough. Um, seeing as that's the case, maybe I'd appreciate a little bit of a like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any other series that you want me to talk about, let me know. Alright, let's actually get into this. Initial review, 4, bad. What is this series called? The Unaware Atelier Master. Atelier is like a workshop, kinda, I guess, would be the way to the best way to word it, I guess. It's basically just a workshop. I want to make something clear. If you want to know if a series is bad without reading it, I have a little trick. You take the Japanese name and then you put it in Google Translate, and then you see what it says. For this one, it is the misunderstood Atelier Master. The former errand runner of the hero party was actually triple S rank in everything but combat, a common story. I really? Really? Like, if your if your title is the equivalent of like a paragraph, it is a bad title. I don't know like why this is hard to grasp, but you don't need to have every little thing in the title, right? Like this one is fine. This title is fine. But the Japanese title, it's a mile goddamn long. Why? Why do you need to do that? Whatever. All right. That's just a signifier for you, right? If it's going to be a very lazy, mediocre series, just look for the title. Alright, let's get into it. What is the gist of the series? Well, this guy, he has, well, triple S rank skills and everything except for combat. Yeah, okay, whatever. So he's basically good at everything outside of combat. He's a part of the hero's party. They're like, oh, you're worthless, you can't do anything in a fight. But he's so good at everything else, and they kind of just disregard that. He goes off on his own. This girl finds him, finds out how good his abilities are, and then I would say the rest of the story basically involves this girl along with her friends, just, I don't know, like, using this person like a rag. I swear to God, I don't know, it's such like a... He's like the dense main character type, right? But I feel like they're just abusing him. Like, they don't tell him anything, he does all the work half the time. They don't really do much to help him. They kind of just bring him along. They're basically like holding him like with like strings and making him dance like a puppet. I don't know. To me, it just felt like they were trying to play it off like it's funny, but it just feels like sad. I don't know. I just didn't really like how they treated him for the most part. Like they're, I guess, nice to him or whatever, but like, I don't know, it just felt like shitty, you know, constantly keeping him out of the loop, never telling him what's going on, not really trying to teach him, just kind of stringing him along. But they never really try to like, they'll say like, oh, actually your abilities are pretty good here and there. But even then, like, they lie about his abilities and don't even tell him like the extent of what they are. And they make it seem like he's like, I don't know, not as crazy as he is sometimes. Like, it's only to themselves where they talk about how crazy his abilities are. So I feel like it's just kind of messed up. I don't know. I just constantly felt bad for the main character, and I thought, you know, this person was not, you know, quite, they're not the upstanding citizen, if you will. Yeah, so I mean, like, the main thing of the like series is basically the hero party thinks he's useless. They abandon him. They find out, of course, he's actually useful. The basic trope where like, oh, he actually was like everything to us, and he's the reason we were able to do everything well. Blah blah blah. Right? Super basic trope. This person is basically just trying to like. I don't know. I don't even really get their reasoning. They're trying to like hide his abilities because they're concerned it would like throw everything off balance, but they're not necessarily telling him anything, which makes it even harder. So it's like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just explain things? I know he's dense and everything, but if you like took the time to attempt to explain things to him, I feel like it would be much easier than what you're doing. Ah, very, 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 very frustrating. Um, I'll tell you this, I read like 40 chapters, and it was just not good. It was so hard to get through those chapters, but I wanted to read it just to see if there's something, just anything that could like keep me going and have at least some interest, but like all it is basically just a gag of him doing something impressive, everyone reacting, and then moving on. And at the end of the day, like even though his combat skills are weak or whatever, the whole like trope is like the skill's power is based on what you interpret it. So you could take a garden hoe and throw it, and if you're like a professional gardener or you have like a triple S in gardening, then your skill would like kill a dragon because you think like, oh, that dragon is, weak to my garden hoe or whatever. So like the idea is like, oh, if you think of golems as just rocks, then a mining skill is really OP against them. So he just ends up being way more overpowered than everybody else, even though his skills are not combat oriented, which is just like, oh god. And I just feel like, again, how they treat him, I understand it's played for a gag, but wow, it's just so frustrating to hear. It's like one of the most frustrating series for me where I'm just like, this just feels bad. Like, I don't feel anything good about this. And then characters get scared of him and things like that, but they still don't tell him anything. Like, it's just, oh man. It is really a challenge to just sit through. Like, it is not very interesting. I wouldn't even really say it's unique. I mean, I've seen other stories where like, oh, my skills aren't suited for combat, blah blah blah. Not really anything special. The gag is basically just he does things quickly and then people react and it's like, oh, that's funny, haha. He did something that no one else could do, oh, that's funny. And they just do that over and over and over again, and it's like, holy god, there's a million series just like this one. I don't know, man. It is a rough series, and the other characters just make it even more brutal. Like how they just never tell him anything, how they treat him. Like I wouldn't even say they treat him particularly well. They kind of just show him the base level of human kindness, but then they don't tell him anything, and they don't really like try to explain things so he can improve and get better, and not have problems living on his own and things like that. It's just like they're constantly leading him on just this like, this makeshift path that they created that's awful. Also, the art is not appealing. I'll be perfectly honest. It is not a standout art style. Like, it is really just eh. None of the characters look interesting. I'll be perfectly honest. They are all super basic. It feels like one of those, like, I don't know if you have experienced this, but if you like see like one of those cheap animes that like reuses animation over and over 50 times in a row, it feels like that in a manga, basically. It is just, ugh, it is so rough. Because it is the same joke over and over and over again, and it never tries to do anything different. It is the same joke. And that is all it can do, all it will do, and all it wants to do. It is brutal to get through. And frankly speaking, I knew it was going to be bad just from this title. If you see a title that long, it instantly, like for me at least, it instantly lowers my expectations. It has never ceased to lower my expectations, and I'm typically right. And in this case, I would say yes, I am correct. This was not very good. I could see, maybe if someone just likes the, slice of life doing whatever kind of lackadaisical storytelling, maybe you could put this up to like a 5 or a 6. But I think just with how I felt about how like they treated the main character, which is not a satisfying, relationship. It's kind of like, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't feel nice in any way. It feels kind of cruel at some points, even if it's not necessarily like, you know, violent or anything. It's just not like it just feels like they could do a million other things to, you know, better this situation, relationship, and, you know, have him have a, you know, improve his life, but they more so just kind of use it for their own, you know, benefit. The plot point with the princess that comes along later is a good example of just, if you know that point, it's like they're just using him, and they make it seem like, oh, it's fine, whatever, who cares? But like I don't know, it just feels really rough. And I think at points they mention how like they feel slightly bad that they're, you know, doing this, but they still do it. And he'd probably help them even if they said something, so it makes it even worse. It's like, why are you doing that? Just tell him. Just take the time to sit him down and talk to him. I don't know. Overall, rough story. Nothing unique. I would say some of the plot points are even done poorly. Art is mediocre, I would say. Like, there's nothing special about it. Character designs are pretty boring. I just... Oh, man. This is not a good read. It is just... It is something to pass time if you really don't care about what you're reading and you just want something super basic just to get through. I said 4 at the start, but like now that I'm talking about it, I'm almost wanting to go with a 3. I'm gonna say 3, like between a 3 and a 4. Like, it could be a 3, it could be a 4, depending on where you stand, but like, it is just not good. I'm just being honest. It is not good. Not satisfying, not entertaining. The joke is boring. I just... Ugh. Rough read. Okay, well, I mean, I think that's about it. I'd appreciate it if you could like, comment, subscribe, let me let me know if there's another series you want me to cover. The comments below, blah blah blah. Yep, this series was bad. I'll see ya.